Hello, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to today's video. Just a brief disclaimer on the topic of today's video. If you feel like the topic of talking about panic attacks would make you feel uncomfortable if you deal with them, if you have dealt with them in the past, and you feel like this topic might be just a little bit triggering for you, maybe just skip over today's video. These videos will be here on this channel for the rest of forever, so whenever you feel like maybe you're in a better place with this topic, you can always come back to watch this video. It will be here waiting for you. But if you just feel like listening to me talk about panic attacks and listening to other people's stories and other people's experiences just may not make you feel so great today, then just skip over this video. Like I said, it will always be here. You can always come back and watch it another time. So I got a question recently from a lovely lady in our jiu-jitsu community who's been training jiu-jitsu for about 8 months, and she's been dealing with panic attacks, mostly when someone who's heavier is on top applying a lot of pressure, sitting on her chest, and she's just concerned on what to do. She says that her teammates have been really helpful and really supportive of her, but she's kind of just getting frustrated that she's dealing with them, so she just wanted some advice. So I've personally never dealt with a full-blown panic attack, so I didn't really feel like I was one to give her any advice or offer any kind of experience because I don't really have any. The only thing I've ever really felt is maybe 1 or 2 times I've felt a second or two of panic, mostly if someone's on top of me and I just couldn't breathe. They were maybe just like smothering my mouth and my nose, if they had my gi over my face and I just literally could not breathe. I've had maybe, like I said, 1 or 2 seconds of panic, and then I would just try to move a little bit, maybe an inch or so, just so I can get some airflow, you know what I'm saying? And then all would be good. So I didn't really feel like I had anything to tell her, but I didn't want to just message her back and be like, well, I've never dealt with this, so see you later. So I did what I thought was the next best thing, and I got stories and experiences and tips from other women who train jiu-jitsu that deal with panic attacks and what helps them get through it so that they can continue to train. So I've got a bunch of responses here ready to go, so let's get chatting. So this first response on dealing with panic attacks when you're training, when you're rolling, is from Hannah. She says, I was actually talking to my therapist about this today. The weird thing with me is that it only happens with a few people in particular. She told me to focus on my breathing and remind myself that I have an out. I can always tap, and just reminding myself of that can help. I've noticed that it happens the most in side control, so I have been drilling side control escapes like crazy, and now no one can hold me in one. I have made sure to make those escapes muscle memory, so even if I am focusing all of my attention on breathing and staying present, I can still escape and then recover when I'm in a more equatable situation. After I read a bunch of these responses, something that you'll see that's repeated in almost every response is breathing. And I love that her therapist said to focus on her breathing. And I love this next part, to remind yourself that you have an out. When we're in the training room, I know sometimes it can feel like it's the wild, wild west in there. There's limbs flying everywhere. There's people getting choked out everywhere. But really, we're in a controlled environment. And the best thing I think that you can do for yourself if you're feeling too uncomfortable, if you can't breathe, if you're struggling, is to tap. That is your way out. That is your way of communicating with your partner that I need to start over. And whether it's from a submission or if it's from something that you're dealing with mentally, internally, tapping, it's okay. Start over, recoup a little bit, and get right back into it. This next response is from Bridget. She goes, I've had so many, and mainly when someone has me in mount, the gi is open and around my face. It's dark and I can barely breathe. My professors say it's the dark room. I close my eyes and I just keep telling myself that I'm okay, not to panic, and move slightly to get the slightest bit of air. But mainly I tell myself I'm okay, this is temporary, I'm okay, and I can control my breathing. Specifically, longer deep breaths. She goes, P.S. I'm a purple belt, been training for 6 years, and it still happens sometimes. I love that she put that at the end because it just really shows that really no matter how long you've been training, if you're more advanced, we still need help. Like, we are still on the struggle bus. So even if you're a beginner, you are not the only one who is struggling. It's so crazy crazy just how much of a mental battle jujitsu is. I find myself telling myself, just like Bridget said, I'm okay, I'm okay. Even though I'm not having a panic attack, it's maybe when I'm getting choked. If someone has like a deep choke in, I have to tell myself, I'm okay. As long as I can still breathe, I'm good. I've had to tell myself in competition when anxiety is at an all-time high and someone is getting a choke or someone is in mount and they're giving me a ton of pressure, I have to talk to myself. I have to tell myself, you're okay. As long as you can breathe, you're good. So I love that response. I think that little tip of just talking to yourself and just telling yourself that you're okay, I just think that's so helpful. This third response is from Ashley. She goes, I don't know anyone who trains who hasn't had at least one panic attack while training. See, it's more common than we think. Everyone struggles, and something like this probably has happened to a lot more people than we think. Ashley continues to say, obviously breath work is a big one, and being patient with yourself because it takes time to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think that's probably the motto of jiu-jitsu, right? Everyone who trains has heard this. It's about learning to be comfortable in the uncomfortable, in uncomfortable situations. She says her personal favorite technique on dealing with panic attacks is a checklist of all the things that she needs to make it through training. Have I had enough protein, sugar, and carbs today? Am I hydrated? Am I warmed up? Have I been breathing? Is something else occupying my mind? I love that. I love how practical that is, how that's something that honestly everyone can implement into their training just to make sure that they can make it through training, just to make sure that they're in the right place to be successful in training and just to feel good in training. All of the things that she listed really do have not just an effect on our physical health, but on our mental health as well. What we're eating, are we hydrated? Have we been breathing properly throughout the day? What else is on our mind? What else are we thinking about? Personally, I know if I've got a lot going on in my head, training can either be my outlet or training can be more of like a chore because I just have so many things going on. Right now, I've got a lot going on. In the next couple of months, my life is about to make the biggest change that I've ever gone through. Focusing on training can be really difficult some days because I've got so many other things going on inside my head, and it is okay to work through that, and I do think that it's still important to train, but I do think it's also important just to be aware of that and just to be aware of where your head is. Daryl says that practicing breath work is huge in capital letters. She says that Belissa Van Rich has a couple of great books on breathing, so maybe check that out. Mary says no more coffee, no more tournaments. Dang. Working carefully with a partner who is patient, forgiving, and would let me up when I needed up and let me work through it when I needed to work through it. But I'm still wrestling with anxiety issues. I'm not gonna lie, the no more coffee thing, that hurts my soul. But what's important to note here, I think, is that even though those couple of things can seem a little extreme, what's really important here is that she's realized a couple of things that maybe trigger these panic attacks for her. And while she's still figuring out how to handle getting these panic attacks and how to handle these anxiety issues, giving up those couple of things for a period of time maybe, or maybe forever, I don't know, could be very beneficial. This response from Angela is a really great one. She says, yes, she's dealt with panic attacks because I have actually been attacked and choked before. Sometimes I get triggered and it takes me back to being abused. I have to remind myself that this person is not actually going to hurt me and that I am just fine, and I have to make myself slow down, calm down, and work through it. Sometimes it's tough, but for me, it's part of facing and dealing with my past. It's a huge part of jiu-jitsu and is what people mean when they say it teaches you to, quote unquote, again, become comfortable with the uncomfortable. I just gotta say, Angela, if you ever watch this video, you are so brave for training jiu-jitsu, and even though it brings up things from your past, that you continue to train, that you realize that it is beneficial for you, even though some days it may be really tough. But you know, just like you said, putting yourself in these very uncomfortable situations can really just help you deal with what you've been through. Jubilee says, I have to focus on calming my breathing, relaxing, and and reminding myself that I'm safe, I'm okay, and that they're not going to hurt me outside of the context of jiu-jitsu. Depending on how bad and who I'm rolling with, I may ask them to pause and let the pressure up a bit for me to recenter myself, and then when I'm good enough, I'll say okay and start rolling again with them back at that full pressure. I love that. Again, jiu-jitsu is a controlled environment. We can tap whenever we want to. The training room it's not a place to get hurt. Our training partners, ideally, are not there to actually hurt us. And I love that she's open to actually telling her partner to give up on the pressure a little bit. And then what I love even more is when she's kind of recouped a little bit and she's gotten herself together, she starts right back where they were. She allows her partner to give her that full amount of pressure again so that she can handle it a little bit better because she's in a different headspace. I just think that that's really brave, and I think that that will help you in the long run. And the last response for today is from Libby. And Libby says, I used to have panic attacks fairly often and ended up seeing a psychologist about it. I found that improving my heart rate variability using the heart math monitor paired with the Inner Balance app massively reduced my panic attacks, and on the rare occasion I do have them, I can control my breathing to stop it before it gets out of control. I love that Libby has provided everyone watching a physical tool to possibly help you. I love that she not only talks about controlling your breathing, but learning about your heart rate and how to bring your heart rate down. Honestly, our body is just so amazing and everything is connected. Everything is intertwined with one another. So I love that she offered this advice to kind of connect multiple parts of our body together to help deal with these panic attacks. And I love that last part about talking about learning how to regain control before it gets out of control. Libby, I'm so happy that you have figured out what works best for you to prevent these panic attacks from even happening. And I think your tips can be really helpful to someone else. I think and I hope that these tips from other people who train can help anyone who is watching this video if you're struggling with panic attacks and maybe anxiety while you are rolling. I think that at the end of the day, it's really just important to realize that everyone struggles. Everyone is going through something. Everyone has gone through something. And the best thing that we can do for the people on the mat, our training partners, and just in general is to be kind to one another. We don't know what someone else is going through. We don't know what it took for someone to just show up to training that day. Everyone is training jiu-jitsu for a reason. Maybe you just need a new hobby. Maybe you want to get in the best shape of your life. Or maybe you've been bullied. Maybe you've been attacked. Maybe you've been abused. And jiu-jitsu is an outlet for you to deal with that and for you to overcome that. And unless we're really good friends with someone, we might not know what they've been through in the past and why they're training jiu-jitsu. So be kind to one another. Be supportive of your training partners. We are not here to judge one another. We are here to help each other get better. We are here to make people feel comfortable. We are here to help each other grow. So let's just keep that in mind. As always, if you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up. If this topic is something that you deal with and you feel comfortable maybe sharing your experiences, maybe you feel comfortable sharing tips that have helped you deal with it, leave a comment, let me know, let everybody else know. Again, we are here on this channel to help each other. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to hit that bell notification button so that you never miss when I post a new video. And until the next video, I will see you guys next time.